Right, before we begin then, let us all take a moment to remind ourselves how extremely fortunate we are to be here, to be students of the great master, to be able to listen to his teaching, to follow the path and to free ourselves from suffering once and for all. As we bring our palms together to make veneration to the Noble One, the Perfect One, the Unparalleled One, He who is the fount of wisdom, compassion, and loving kindness. Let us also remind ourselves that this is an opportunity for us to renew our pledge, our oath, our promise to ourselves, to remind ourselves of our purpose of being here. This is a journey that we must bring to an end. So with all that in mind, let us all take a moment to pay homage to the Supremely Enlightened, fully awakened, Samma Sambuddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. The advent of a Sambuddha Sásana is the rarest thing ever. There's nothing more rare than that. There's nothing more scarce than that. There's nothing more far and few between than that. Nothing more uncommon, nothing more irregular, just the sheer coincidence of us having come across one is just unimaginable. If you take a moment to look around you, wherever you might be, here, at home, watching this, every atom in this universe is the result of a wrong answer to a problem. If you take this room, for instance, from the grains of sand that touch your feet to whatever's gone on to make in that Buddha statue, be that clay, cement, plaster, whatever it might be, all of it is the product of seeking the wrong answer to a problem. Because one fine day, someone said, "What did the Buddha look like? Tell me, what did the Buddha look like? What did the Buddha look like? What did the Buddha look like?" They were vexed. So to free themselves from vexation, they had to build a statue. That is how this statue has come into being. Because if you've truly understood the real solution to the problem, you don't need a Buddha statue. If you trace back the origins of every single atom in this universe, it is a product of seeking the wrong answer to a problem. So really, no matter where you look, everywhere, everything you can look at, everything you can see, is things gone wrong. From the sun to the moon, the stars and the planets, right down to whatever you have at home, yourselves, your bodies, every strand of hair on your head, every cell in your body. This is all the wrong answer to a problem. Your bodies, you understand, as the mind wanted to perceive sight, it had to bring with it a mechanism to do that. So this is the price that you're having to pay for seeking the wrong answer to a problem. Can you see the price I'm having to pay? This is the price I'm having to pay. Seeking the wrong answer to a problem. The price we're having to pay. The lights. You need lights because you want to see. You need this sound system because you want to hear. You want to. You need food because you have to eat. You've got to. Every lungful you take in of what we might like to think fresh air, perhaps out on the mountaintops, where people go for a breath of fresh air. Little do they think about the fact that this is just things gone wrong. But they go there for fun, to relax, to entertain themselves. Whereas you, on the other hand, we need to perceive things differently. We need to take things as they are. Because otherwise what happens is, we begin to feel that this is a nice place to be. It's fun. It's jolly good being human. As long as we don't have the problems we have to deal with day to day, as long as the ends meet and there's a meal on the dinner table and there are people for me to share my problems with, then things are fine, just fine. This is the mindset that people have gotten themselves into. Ask someone, how you doing? And they'll say, so, not so bad. We're doing pretty good. And you ask them, why do you think so? Well, I've got everything I need. I've got a nice house. I've got a little family going. There's my husband or my wife. We've got 3 lovely children. And they're very obedient. They're very kind and gentle and very good to their parents. They study at school. They're very studious. And then I have my parents, my in-laws. They're unusually kind. I have my friends who are always there to watch out for me. And if ever I'm in need of help, they'll always be there, just a phone call away. There's money in the bank, and whenever I need it, it's there. So I've got plenty. I've got a place to live, there's a roof above my head, and I live a comfortable life. So things are not so bad. And then they say that is the positive attitude to life. Whereas if you ask the same man, when he's in a spot of bother, perhaps when something's bothering him, perhaps he's just not had a good day at work, perhaps he's not got the promotion that he wanted, he was so looking forward to it, or maybe the pay rise that his boss promised him, but it just hasn't come through because the funds have not been approved yet from the head office. Or perhaps he's lent something precious to someone and they're taking their merry time to return it, and he's been asking for it, and they're now beginning to ignore him. Or maybe his in-laws are giving him a tough time. Actually, they don't usually give him a tough time, they usually give her a tough time, right? So maybe it's that. Or maybe the children are not so obedient. Maybe they're a bit mischievous. Perhaps they've started to do things that you can't keep a straight face and talk to your friends about. They used to be the honor of the family, but now any mention of them brings you dishonor. So they don't talk about their children. Perhaps if they're in a problem of that sort, then now if you ask them, how's life? Just one problem is enough to change everything upside down. Just one problem. One problem. Just think about it for a second. Aren't there times when people come and remind you, when you have a problem, okay? When you have a problem, aren't there times when people come and remind you, yes, we know you have that problem, but think about all the other things that you have that other people don't have. Don't they tell you that? Yes, I know, this is a problem, but think about everything else you have that most people don't have. They'd bite their right arm off for it, but just think about what you have. Take a more positive attitude. Look at life positively. Take a positive approach. Be grateful for what you have. Why do you just always focus on what you don't have? You've heard that? Yes, because I've said that. See how little is enough to completely take away our sense of gratitude, our sense of feeling blessed and have what we want, or having what we want. Just something very little is enough. Sometimes they call them bad hair days. When, sometimes you just had your car's broken down. You had an appointment, you had to get to work on time, but your car's broken down. That one thing is enough to completely ruin your day. Maybe it's the morning, you're preparing lunch, and you try to turn the knob and the gas doesn't come on. You run out of gas. That one event is enough to turn your day upside down. In these moments, you need to see a bigger truth than that specific problem. As Buddhists, if that's what we like to call ourselves, we need to see a bigger problem than the problem at hand. Because there's a problem at heart. When things are going to plan, when things are going fine, when you don't have a big problem, right, then you'll say life is going fine. And people like to talk about that. That's when they organize a party, when things are going to plan. Have you ever organized a party when you're not you, I'm sure it probably hasn't happened to you. Now the daughter runs away with some bloke. Right? If you had a party arranged for that time, what do you normally do? Carry on? What do? You call it off, right? See, one event is enough to completely change your life, topple your life upside down. One event is enough. Sometimes all it takes is the washing machine to stop working. That's enough. Then you get into work, right? And everyone's an enemy today. And what's the problem? The washing machine stopped working. Now everyone you see at work, everyone you bump into, you feel they've got a problem with you. No, you're the one who's got a problem with them. Because that one event was enough. I'm trying to show you the value of a Buddha Sásana. Because the Buddha Sásana is not here to solve the problem at hand. That is why most people they don't take refuge in the Buddha Sásana. Because they don't see that the Buddha Sásana offers a solution to the problem at hand. But if you go to the bank down the street, they give you a problem. They give you a solution to the problem at hand. Honestly, in this day and age, ladies and gentlemen, who do you think a man in his middle age pays more reverence to, has more respect to, the Buddha or the bank manager? You are an unusual species. I'm not talking about you. Because we chopped that tail off. And we unscrewed the horns. The same treatment that I had, you're having or you've had. Perhaps you're still having. Don't know. But just think about it. A man, typical, in his, say, late 20s, early 30s, going 40s, right? Who do you think he's had more conversations with? The Buddha or the monk at the temple? Or the bank manager? The bank manager. The monk or the lawyer? The lawyer. Because they have an answer to the problem at hand. The Buddha Sásana offers nothing. What does the Buddha Sásana offer? The Buddha Sásana doesn't offer anything. You're the one who has to make every offering to the Buddha Sásana. Does it not seem so? The Buddha Sásana offers us nothing, but we have to offer to the Buddha Sásana. So the Buddha Sásana is like a parasite. Now you say, no, Swaminathan, no, it's not like that. But just take yourselves back a few years, maybe 15 years, 20 years, if you remember that far back. Or perhaps before you met the Dhamma. I've had people I've spoken with and who've said and who quite honestly shared with me, Swaminathan, those days, there were people I used to avoid like the plague. Who, sir? I asked them, and they say, a police officer and a monk. When I see them, I run a mile. One you have to bribe. The other, they won't give up until they've taken everything they can from you. I've had people say this to me. Not at me, but they've said it to me. So it is quite common, I think, for this day and age. That's why I said, you guys are unusual. You're not common. It is quite usual in this day and age for people to feel that the Buddha Sásana offers them nothing, but we have to make offerings to the Buddha Sásana. Every poya day perhaps, right? You have to go to the temple and try and catch up on your sleep. And then you have to offer something, right? If a Swami Mahasaya comes to the Pansakula, you have to offer something. You always have to offer something. You don't get anything for free with the Buddha Sásana. You have to always offer something. You have to offer the Atta Pirikara, you have to offer the Dolos Pirikara, you have to offer the alms, you have to offer... You're always offering. We don't get anything back in return. What is this, a black hole? People feel that way. As I said, like a parasite. All it does is take. And instead, it might leave you a disease. So this is how people have come to see the Buddha Sásana, because they haven't seen the Buddha Sásana. And because they look to the Sásana for answers to the problem at hand. I need to give my daughter's hand in marriage. What can the monk do? Find her a good husband? They do try. I mean, not the monk, but the parents do try. Sometimes you find, they never come here. I don't think they can ever come here, but people do try. They go to the temple, and as they talk to the Swaminatha talking about the impermanent nature of life, and then, this young poor mother, what can you do? She's got a problem. She's got an aching problem. So she'll ask Swaminatha, any young boys coming this way? These days, any youths in the village who are still available? Any good boys who come to the temple to observe Sil? Because if you come to the temple, then you must be good. So the mother doesn't go to the the tavern, right, and look for a boy for her daughter to get married to. She comes to the temple. For that, she doesn't go to the bank manager. That she comes to the temple. Because for my daughter, who do I want? A good man. A good man. A kind man. I just want the man for the daughter. I don't want how he became kind. That I don't want. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in how he became kind and nice and gentle and soft-hearted. But what I want is the man who has become that, so I can give my daughter's hand to him in marriage and then brush my hands off. Never heard of this? Are these alien stories to you? Do you think this is fiction? No, this is fact. Because the Buddha Sásana doesn't offer solutions to the problem at hand. If you're poor, right? If you can imagine someone who is poor and they're struggling to, say, pay their bills, right? Or maybe they're going through a hard time. Not generally poor, but they're going through a hard time. Financially, they're going through a hard time. You can't go to the temple and ask, because the temple is where you go to give. But you can always try a good friend, or maybe someone who's the bank manager. Yes. Always there. So trustworthy. If you go to the bank manager, chances are you'll walk away with an answer to your problem. See, he's a savior. By the way, I've got nothing against bank managers, because I used to be one myself, so I think that gives me the liberty to talk freely about bank managers. They're not bad people. They're just doing their job. But what I'm trying to show you, ladies and gentlemen, is why people feel that the Buddha Sásana offers them nothing. You will see people like this, and you need to have sympathy and empathy towards them. But this is why people don't come to the Buddha Sásana, because they don't know what the Buddha Sásana offers. All they know is what the Buddha Sásana takes away from them. So if they want to loan some money because they have a bill to pay, or a debt collector knocking on their door, no point going to the Swaminatha. No point doing that. If they need to borrow a car because they have to perhaps go somewhere, or maybe borrow a bike to run an errand, no point going to the Buddha Sásana. On the road doesn't have a bike. But you can go to rent a car. There, they give you an answer to the problem at hand. So you see, come into the Buddha Sásana, we get nothing. But you lose it all, don't you? Technically speaking, whenever you came to the Buddha Sásana, did you walk away richer or poorer? Technically speaking. If you walk into the bank with no money in your pockets, how do you walk out? With money in your pockets. If you walk into the temple with money in your pockets, how do you walk out? I say temple, you can say church, mosque, whatever, right? If you walk in there, how do you walk out? With less money. See? It's a pretty bad deal. So the Buddha Sásana doesn't give us anything. All it does is take. But, as good citizens, we have to do what we have to do for the Sásana, right? I'm a Buddhist, so, hey, it's my duty. I have to feed those yellow-robed people. What can I do? I have to provide for them. As if it wasn't enough, me providing for my own family. Now I have to provide for them also. For them also. Because the Buddha Sásana just takes things from me. It doesn't give me back anything. What has it given me? Nothing. And my brand new car, I bought it, and if I driving up somewhere, and then if I see a Swamin Wahanse on the road, what should I do? This is the brand new car. What should I do? I should stop. I should pull over. And I should open the door and ask him to get in. He doesn't even wear slippers. See, all that muddy feet now on the carpet. Now I have to go and wash this damn thing. See, brand new car. And just look at him, old robes. At least can't he dress smartly? Get himself some new robes and just, be fresh. Just look at him. Again, the Buddha Sásana is taking things from me, not giving me anything back. So people begin to feel that the Buddha Sásana is a drain on everything they have, everything they own. And worst thing of all, right, sometimes if you have just the one child, right, maybe he's a young boy, you have all your hopes on him. Then when you go into the temple, the Swamin Wahanse sees the boy. Next, what do? He says, he looks like a good boy. How about you keep him here? So now, first they took my money. Then they took my food. Now they also want my child. The Buddha Sásana is just taking things from me. I'm getting nothing back in return. So, if you see a monk, run a mile. Are you different to that? Have you understood the Buddha Sásana? Do you know what the Buddha Sásana is? Have you seen the Buddha Sásana? Or can you relate to those sentiments, and do you feel the same way? Some people, they don't dress up properly when they come to the temple. I mean, they'll dress decently, but they won't dress up, like actually dress up. They'll take off all their jewelry. They leave it all at home, not out of reverence, but they get this feeling that if the Swaminatha sees all this, me dressed up and glamorous, he might think I've got a lot. Then he might start asking me some questions which I'll find very uncomfortable answering. So I'd better dress down. Like you have dress down Fridays at work. So they dress down. Buddha Sásana. Fearful of the Buddha Sásana. The Buddha Sásana is synonymous with losing it all. The Buddha Sásana is synonymous with, where I lost it all. I was a man before I went in there. When I went into the Buddha Sásana, as I walked into the temple, I walked back a broken man. Now I've got nothing. And sometimes, if it's like a young monk, they'll even leave their wife at home. They're worried. Because they don't understand the Buddha Sásana. They leave their wife at home, maybe leave their daughter at home. Because they think the Buddha Sásana is here to take everything from them. And then they say the Buddha Sásana is very rare. Must be. There can't be anything more rare than that, because I've never seen anything that takes everything that I have. So they feel more connected to us, like I said, the bank manager. Because the bank manager, he gives. Of course, you come to an agreement, right? I give you this, you give me that, but at least, in my time of trouble, when things were going rough, the bank manager, he helped me. Actually, I know people who, when it comes to New Year's Day, they won't go to the temple with anything, but they'll go to see their bank manager with kavili pevili, a plate of sweets, because he was he who helped me when I was in trouble. The bank manager. Let's not go to the temple, because if I go to the temple, I haven't been there in a year or so, the Swaminatha is going to ask me, Upasaka Mahatta, why don't you come this way? Oh no, not again. And then, all right, I see what he's coming at. Right? Next thing he'll know, yeah, we haven't even seen you for an alms giving lately. Yes. See. All double meaning. This is an invitation for what? Give some alms. Such a subtle way of saying it. I haven't even seen you for an alms giving. They're worried, because they believe that an alms giving is where the Sambuddha Sásana takes from them. An offering is the Sambuddha Sásana taking from them. That is how people see. Because people live in this mindset of there has to be return for investment, and that return has to be immediate. It's an immediate world we live in, right? We need to see results immediately. We need to see results instantly. Instant gratification is what people are after. When you go to the bank, right, when you apply for a loan, they'll tell you, your loan will be approved in 2 weeks' time. Please check your account and the funds will be in it. When you go to the temple and you give some alms, the Swaminatha says, right, you have all worked so hard, right, and righteously earned whatever you have earned, and woken up early in the morning and prepared this meal and offered it to the Buddha Pramukha Mahasangha, right, for which you shall be wholesomely rewarded. And then this devotee asks, yes, when? Give me a date. When? Write it down on this piece of paper. We need an agreement. Come on. When? So the Swaminatha says, well, it could be in this birth, it could be in the next. Sounds like a foul deal, doesn't it? I don't believe in next birth anyway. So I've just put my hard-earned money into a bottomless pit. You look into it, you can't even see the end of it, the bottom of it. So there's no hope of this ever coming back. I had 10,000 rupees in the bank before I walked into the bank, into the temple, and now I'm 10,000 rupees poorer. That's all that happened. And the Swaminatha said, because most of the time, just think about it. I've seen people who do this, right? Where they think an alms giving is all about this. They think an alms giving is you prepare the food, if you like. Sometimes you can just take it from a takeaway. And you order the food, and you can actually ask them to deliver it to the temple. I've got nothing against this, I'm just saying. Okay? So you can place your order and they deliver it to the temple. You just have to arrive at the temple at the right time. And you don't even have to arrive to lay it out. They'll come and lay it all out for you as well. I think they will even serve it to the Swaminatha says. This is all the delivery people. You just have to be there for Yatavari Vahapura, for the merit transfer. The rest you can pay. Money is so versatile, listen, you can absolutely pay for anything. So they do that, and they don't get involved in preparing the meal, taking it to the temple. They don't get involved in offering it to the monks. They don't get involved in washing their hands or offering them some water or cleaning the alms bowl. Nothing of that sort. And sometimes even if they do take, now I've seen this, tell me if you haven't, they'll take the alms to the temple, right? And then, usually this is done by the males, the so-called males. They'll take the food, they'll drive the family to the temple, and then where will they be? Out. They'll be outside, chatting with their own kind, and the women will go in and they will offer the alms, food, and they have to, the Sangha Satukiriyam and all that, they do that. And so the men are stood outside and they're talking with each other, say, what to do, man? The wife wants to give alms. What to do? Had to come in. I had to work, I had an office appointment this morning as well. I couldn't go for that also. Nice deal. I could have made a fair amount of money, but what to do? The wife wants to do this stupid thing. Every 6 months she brings me here. Just you wait, when she comes out, she'll say, I want to offer this, I want to offer that. I won't be surprised if she's keep offered her earrings also. Just wait and see until she walks out. Just you wait and see. She'll come and ask me, can we offer Atapirikara? She'll come and ask me. We offered a full meal, 3 course. We even had to go and buy cashews. Those things don't come cheap these days. And you know what? They're not even vegetarian. So-called holy. They're not even vegetarian. I could have made some money this weekend, but the wife, she wants to come and she brings the children also. They had to miss science class. Now see, they have to catch up. Now we have to do extra tuition for them. Silliness. So of course, they've come to the temple to give something. So at the end of that conversation, at the end of the day, they've not gained anything. Yes. So it's quite fair for them to say, the Buddha Sásana is just a drain. Because all they've seen is the giving. They've not seen the receiving. Oh, but they will come back for the Piritnura. What is a monk there for? To tie a thread around your wrist, right? Most people, that is the only dealing they've had with a monk. I think in this day and age, it's becoming more and more common that what a monk is there for is to tie a thread, a pirit thread around your wrist. That's what a monk is there for. And when someone in the family passes away, to come and sort out the dead, because we don't know how to deal with the dead. I mean, we don't know how to deal with the living, let alone the dead. So especially when they're dead, when they're especially dead, right? You got to have the monk to come, because that's spooky stuff. You don't want to get on the wrong side of the dead guys. Because what if the mother doesn't leave now that she's dead? So you got to do it properly. Yeah? That part you got to do properly. It's a foul deal, because even when they come to transfer merits and sort out the dead, I still have to give them something. I still have to give at least one of these, wrapped up in brown paper. But still you have to give. I mean, while she was alive, all she did was give. The poor mother. Now she's dead, we still have to give. When do we get? I don't, these puzzled faces I see in the audience, I think you don't associate this kind of people anymore. That's why these stories seem somehow quite weird. Go back. Go walk back in time. Walk back in time. Perhaps you remember people like that. Perhaps you remember yourself like that. If you've changed today, folks, that's because the Buddha Sásana has happened within you. Today you see that the Buddha Sásana is a place where you don't have to give anything, and you get everything. Do you recall we talked about giving up and giving to? Was it here we talked about it? Or was it on a Sunday? I can't recall. No. When you give to, there has to be a receiving party. When you give up, you don't have to have a receiving party, you just give up. When you give up, it matters not who comes and takes it. You've given up. If you give to, it matters who takes it, because you give to someone. The Buddha Sásana is where you come and give up, not give to. Because what does the Buddha Sásana teach you? What have you learned now, by now? You've learned that there is no receiving party. Yeah? You've learned that there is no giving party. So if there's no one to give and there's no one to receive, the only thing that's happened is the giving. There's no one to give to. Remember we talked about the mother and the son and so on last week? What becoming an arahant is all about? Whether it is the severance of attachment or the freedom or the freeing the mind of the perception that there is someone to sever your attachment to, and the difference between the two. Then who do you give to? You don't give to anything or anyone. You give up. That only happens in the Buddha Sásana. But only when you realize what the Buddha Sásana is, can this begin to happen in your mind. That is why people who have not seen the Buddha Sásana, they'll talk about all the things that they had to give to the Buddha Sásana. So by Buddha Sásana, they'll refer to the monks at the temple or the nuns at the temple or the upasakas and upasikas like yourselves. Perhaps there are people who come in, maybe the first time they walk in here, they come and see you with your alms bowls going on alms. You do that, don't you? After the Swaminathan have done so? Right? And then these people also we have to feed now. Perhaps there are those who look at you like that. Now we have to feed these people also. As if it wasn't enough. But they never say that about the bank manager. Never say that about the bank manager. They don't say that about the people who have to, who you have to go to get something done. They don't say that about them, because they are the people who you have to keep in good stead. Keep them in good stead. Keep a good connection with them. Just think about it, before you actually learned the Dhamma and began, this life transformation that began to happen within your lives, who were your contacts? Just think about it for a second. Who were your contacts? Who were the people that you thought were important people to know? Important people to have in your social circle, in your network? Just think about it for a second. They would have been powerful individuals, people of authority, right? People who can get things done. You would have gone after them. You would have shown them hospitality if ever you had the chance to do so. You would have maintained a good connectionship. Connectionship? What's that? What sort of ship is that? A good relationship with them. A good connection with them. Maybe every New Year, you send them a bouquet of flowers, maybe a cake, maybe, what do you call them, a hamper. Take a walk down memory lane. See if these things don't ring a bell. You needed to have a good doctor. A good doctor. You need to have on your contact list a good doctor. So you can ring them and get some advice. When you're not feeling too well, you need a good doctor. You need a good lawyer. These are the people you need to have in your contacts list. A good doctor, then a good lawyer. Because when you get up to no good, they need to save your... Yes, that. So you need a good lawyer. You need a good banker. You need to know someone who has money, who is wealthy. You need to know someone. Maybe not just the banker, because the banker does a job. But if you have someone who has, then you need to keep him sweet, right? You got to sweet talk him. From time to time, send him something. I say him, her, whichever. So this is regardless of gender. You got to sweet talk him. You got to invite them round for lunch from time to time. Maybe take them out for lunch. Maybe at least for a coffee. You got to keep them sweet, because these are the connections. These are the connections through which you receive answers to the problems at hand. So much so that you might have even defined yourself, described yourself through the connections that you had in your lives. There might have been a time in your life where you were like that. I'm a well-connected person. This is one of the ways in which people describe someone. He's well-connected. She's well-connected. She's got a good network. Meaning, there are ways and means through which there's always quick, prompt access to solutions or answers to the problems at hand. Oh, you need a good kattarya. Let's not forget that. What's the name for the kattarya? Yeah, we have the gentleman here. Kattarya? Exorcist. Yes. So you need one of them. So that, when you have to deal with evil spirits, when someone in the family is possessed, when the dead grandmother starts speaking through your wife's mouth, and you thought, good riddance of her, but now she's come back again. When the wife was bad enough, and now it's double trouble. 2 in 1. So split personality, sometimes she's the wife, other times she's the dead grandmother. Imagine dealing with that. So you need a good exorcist. Now these are the people you needed to have in your contact list, in your favorites. So they were quickly, readily available. So you have to keep them smooth, sweet. Keep them sweet. You have to give them a little bit of something from time to time. Do you all know what a something is? Not like something, right? This is not a something. This is an euphemism. Something is an euphemism for? Yeah, you know what. I've been there, done that. We know the drill, Swaminatha, we know the drill. Thanks to the Buddha Sásana today, we are free, but we know the drill. See, because those are the people from whom you can get. Whereas the Buddha Sásana is where you have to go and give. What do you get from the Buddha Sásana? Especially if it's a monk, who's say he lives almost like the life of a hermit. He doesn't go on alms. He doesn't come to the Pansakula. He doesn't come to the wedding. He doesn't come to the birthday party. He doesn't come and do the blessing. He doesn't come and, cut that lime on your car. He doesn't do any of that stuff. He don't go blessing people or doing. He's just, in his cave or maybe in a forest somewhere, just meditating. Once in a while, you'll see him going on an alms round with his alms bowl. If you ask him questions, he doesn't even answer. He doesn't come to your sermons. He doesn't take invitations. He's just there. You have to feed the bugger. That's what you have to do. Because as a Buddhist, it's our duty, isn't it? What to do? People have come to see the Buddha Sásana in that light. I'm afraid this is the curse that has struck us. It is. There are now when we want to do various initiatives at the monastery, like the Noble Hearts and the school that we are planning on setting up and the drug rehabilitation center we are planning on doing in the near future. Right? We look for people who are like-minded and who would like to support programs of this nature. And what we have come to learn in our experience is there are those who will give to anyone, but just not to the Buddha Sásana. They'll give to anyone. There are people who will say, I'll give to a beggar, not to a monk. I'll give to a beggar, but not to a monk. Because a beggar, if you give them, they'll at least say thank you. They'll give a smile, and at least they'll bring their hands together and say, Mahatya Buddhu Eva. Thank you, sir, for offering this. You are such a great man. They'll sing praises about what you've done, what little you give. Maybe a few 100 rupees. And they're ever so grateful. But a Swami Maharaj, you offer, some rice into his alms bowl, he doesn't even look at you in the face. He doesn't even look at you in the face. Haven't you seen that when we come there? They don't look at you in the face, do they? They open the alms bowl and put it, present it to you, like as if they have this some sort of sense of entitlement. Right? We have to. You need to. So you offer the alms, the food. They close the alms bowl and they walk. No, thank you. No, how very kind of you. And even if they said, right, okay, now you've given the alms, let's do a merit transfer. Show me the merits. When am I going to get this? Next birth. Next birth. What next birth, man? See? So the Buddha Sásana is not a place where you come to take. It's a place you come to give. That's the thing. But even a poor man, a beggar, he'll come knocking on your door. Sir, please, do you have any leftovers, sir, please? Yeah, just go back to the kitchen. There'll be some food. Ane Buddhu enno Mahatya. May you attain enlightenment. So this man feels that he's now going to attain enlightenment. He has been blessed by a beggar to attain a state of Samma Sambuddha. He feels delighted and honored. Whereas offering to a monk, he says what? Not a word. So is it not better than to give to a beggar than it is to give to a monk? People have not seen the Buddha Sásana. So they think the Buddha Sásana also we have to give to. The Buddha Sásana also we have to give to. Because people are sick and tired of giving to. They are. Because whenever you have to give to, ladies and gentlemen, you have to part with whatever belongs to you, right? When you have to give to, you have to part with it. So this is the thinking. I'm breaking it down for you so that you understand how this works. Why people have this reluctance. Why people have this adversity, this animosity. Why they don't feel about the Buddha Sásana in the way that you and I feel today. You will see people like this, and I urge you to empathize with them. Be creative, be imaginative. Hold their hand and say, no, mister, you don't have to offer a penny, let me do the offering, you just come along. Because when they feel that they have to part with something that is precious to them, and instead they get nothing, or maybe just the promise, and I owe you for next birth, they're not interested. And also they feel that the Buddha Sásana is in debt to them. The Buddha Sásana is indebted. Because isn't that why when someone makes an offering, they expect their name to be written on a plaque and put up somewhere? I'm going to the temple today. Let's see if I can promote my services, my company, myself. So would you like a bench or something, maybe a water filter? Or maybe you might like, a pagoda. Pagoda, whatever you might like. Yes, I'll give it, but you must put my name on there. So again, they are giving two, aren't they? That's why here you don't see any names. You might, these chairs might have been offered by someone amongst yourselves. Perhaps this, perhaps this, perhaps this. If I have to put your name down on everything you offer, then even this robe will have to have your name on it. So instead of keeping the cup bindu to identify our robes, distinguish them from each other's, we'll have to put Siripala Upasaka Mahathya. Even on the robe. You've seen our alms bowls, they have a number. You've seen that, haven't you? That is how we identify our alms bowls. You can imagine 120 alms bowls. When we take an alms bowl, we have to make an adhisthana. This is the alms bowl that I shall use until it dies or until I die, whichever happens first. So once you make that adhisthana, that is the alms bowl you have to use. We can't, it's not like at home where you just go and pick a plate from the rake, the plate rack. You can't do that here. If it's your alms bowl, you have to have your meal in your alms bowl. That is not to say you're attached to your alms bowl. That is a code of discipline to teach you a sense of responsibility, to teach you a sense of contentment, right? And simplicity. Try and get used to a life of using few things, of frugality. That is what we learn. It's all part of the discipline, all part of the teaching. But remember at home, when you want to eat, you just go, you take a plate, whichever plate, doesn't matter. When you want to drink, you take a cup, take a glass, doesn't matter which one. Because there's plenty. You have your pick. Here you don't have your pick. They pick it for you. The robes are picked for you. The alms bowl is picked for you, so you don't have a choice. You can't take the one with the silver lining. You can't go for that. One of those days, recently, a lady came and asked me, "Sir, I've seen your alms bowl. It's the plaster has come off. Please allow me to offer you an alms bowl." And you must use it from there on. Okay? So, I must use it. So I said, please go and speak to the Buddha. I didn't say that. I said, madam, you can make your offering as you choose to, but I have to get my teacher's permission before I can change my alms bowl, because the alms bowl that I have right now, it's just fine. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the plaster has come off. You have to just take it and, and do it up again. That's all. It's the wax that's come off. There's nothing wrong with it. The paint is chipped off, right? So there's nothing wrong with it. There's a small dent on it. Perhaps you might have seen that. And she said, you have to use a new alms bowl. Because she's giving two. We need to get out of this mindset of giving two. Because when we give two, folks, we don't get nibbana back. That's the downside of that deal. You don't get nibbana back when you give two. Usually when you give two, you get what you've given. When you give up, you get nibbana. Because when you give two, you're giving something to someone, that the whatever you give to, or whoever you give to, and the thing you give, they both exist in your world. So you're giving something that exists. So you can't get back non-existence. What you'll get back is an existence. That's why we need to try to get into this mindset of giving up. When you salute too, right? At least people think they do. It is the uniform that deserves a salute. Now I don't know whether people generally are saluted when they're not in uniform. I don't know the rules of the game, but usually the salute is to the uniform. So therefore, if they have been discharged from their duties, I think they no longer get a salute. But people have this, again, sense of entitlement that, if I am in a robe, then I should be given two. No, it's not so. And when you give, try as much as you possibly can, because we are here for nothing other than Nibbana, exclusively for aspirants of Nibbana. That is what we are. This is who we are. Whenever you give up, don't give two. When you offer this glass of water, when you offer meals later on today, when you offer that spoonful of rice into the alms bowl, don't give it to the monk. Give up. Then you can't ask the question, to whom? Give up to whom? You can't ask that question, can you? There's no giving up to whom. It's just giving up. Because for the mind to attain the state of Nibbana, attachment is, you sever attachment, yes, because attachment is the cause of suffering, so the eradication of attachment is the eradication of suffering. Fair enough. It's like this. Just think about it. Two people, they're both holding on to a rope. Right? Now, imagine this rope is tied to their wrists. So when he tries to walk away, it tugs on the other guy, right? And if he tries to walk away, then it tugs on this guy. So they're connected, this rope. For this connection to not exist, for this connection to sever, do they both have to untie the ropes? No, just one. Just one. Just one. So if he untied it, then it's no longer tugging on him. This is giving up. It matters not what's happened on the other side. Matters not. You just need to give up on your side. So when you give up, it matters not whether the other side has taken it, let it go, done whatever with it. That is not part of the equation. It should not concern you. But you can't immediately come to that way of thinking. For that, you need to understand that there is no one here to let go. There is no one here to let go. I am not a one, and they are not a one. Once you understand that, then the giving up has already happened. Because this connection, this is a metaphor, But in real terms, this connection only exists virtually. This is not a real connection. The connection that you have with your family, with your kin, right? This is not a real connection. This is only a virtual connection. It's an illusion. It's only a mental connection. So in the Buddha Sásana, your understanding of the Buddha Sásana, as you understand the Buddha Sásana, as you develop yourself in the Buddha Sásana, as you progress in the Buddha Sásana, it will matter very little, ladies and gentlemen, what is done to what you have given up. It will matter very little. And also, who's going to use what you've given up? One of the best examples of people giving up and not concerning themselves with what's going to happen next, I think there's only one example. It's what you give up when you go into the toilet. That you give up. I think that's the only example we can really come up with that is universally true. That when you give up, you give up. Everything else you give to. A glass of water you give to. A meal you give to. A smile you give to. That's why if the Swaminivasa doesn't smile back at you once you've given them a spoonful of rice, right? Now you've given the rice to and expect something back in return. Where's the smile? Where's the thank you? Where's the gratitude? So people question. Then they say, what virtue? What virtue? No virtue. So now our monks, they go on alms round in the Sudaminasa village, right? You may have experienced on occasion, perhaps, there'll be occasions where, you try to engage them in conversation. That's fair enough, because if this is a new experience to you, it's fair enough. But they have been instructed not to engage in conversation, so they don't. Because when you go on Pindapata, we don't engage in conversation. And there's a very good reason for that. Because one thing will always lead to another. That's what conversations are like. Conversations, if you start one up, it's like a wildfire. Yeah? If you start one up, then you have to play ball. So before you know it, you've invited them into your house. Can you come and maybe, can you come and bless the house? And the Saminas with the alms bowl is going on. Can you please come in and just, you setting foot into a house is a blessing. So the Swaminivasa sets foot into the house. I'm not saying anyone's done it. I'm just saying why conversation is banned when we go on Pindapata. This is not a rule we have adopted. It's the Buddhist discipline. And then once you're in the living room, the next invitation is, Swami says, just a few steps into the bedroom. These things can happen. And these things have happened. Not with us, not here, but it has happened. That's why on multiple occasions the Buddha would have had to tighten and make the rules more strict. Plenty of times where, a lot of the code of discipline contains rules that were laid down due to incidents that had happened when the monks had gone on Pindapata. Because out of kindness and compassion, they've gone on to do things, but then they were misinterpreted, misread, and people come up with stories and all sorts of things happen. I'm saying how giving to leads to the wrong places. Now, a perfect example was I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, when we were in Colombo doing the Pindapata after a Sunday. So we were stood outside a home, outside someone's house, and so there was a mother who came to offer something, but then there was almost a lady in her early 20s. She was just in a bath towel. Now imagine if I'd walked into the house, what all I would have to hear from them. She was just in a bath towel. Now she probably doesn't even know this. That she probably, of course she didn't expect a Swaminivasa to come on alms. But just imagine, because there was an invitation from the mother, Swaminivasa, please step inside. That they do out of devotion. But just imagine if I had stepped inside. And then she'd walk past. Because their houses are like, 1/5 of this room. So, you step left, you're in the washroom. You step right, you're in the bedroom. You step forward, you're in the living room. And step back, you're in the kitchen. That's all they have. That's all they have. Because that's all they've given. That's why we go and take an opportunity for them to give, so that they can give more. But the funny thing is, ladies and gentlemen, even sometimes when we go to homes like that, there are still people who don't like to give to Swaminatsis. Just think about the irony there. Here's a perfect opportunity to free yourself from, the plight that you've gotten yourselves into. There's a perfect opportunity for that. You don't even have to go to the temple. The temple has come to you. This is Nibbana on legs, right? It's come to you. Take away. But even then, there are some. Sometimes they'll smirk at you. And just as they walk past, you go, they make such remarks. Some will say, "Eno metana," and then they just go away. It's fine. We've got to, now you'll say, how could they? You just don't remember your past. You just don't remember the way you used to be long time ago. That's where they start. That's where everyone starts. Because to them, what is the Buddha Sásana? See, now they're relatively poor people, aren't they? There's a lovely saying in Sinhalese. Hingannage paattareta hena ura kadagatnaga. So, they're poor people, and so they don't want someone to come and take away what little they have. They don't want someone coming and take away what little they have, and they don't even smile even in return. You don't even get a smile out of us. We'll say Supat Veva, Nibbana Veva, Yahapatakma Veva. They're like, yeah, show me the Yahapat. And the worst thing is, most people think we come on alms expecting money. So then, they are certain to shut their doors. Because what is more precious than money? To a poor person, what is more precious than money? Nothing. That is why they are poor. That is why they're poor. They're poor because to them, the most precious thing is money. That's why they're poor. To a rich person, everything else is more precious than money. That's why they're rich. Because what is not so precious to you, what do you do with it? You give. What is precious to you? You hoard. You gather, you hoard. As soon as you do that, you cut, you strip, you sever the path to receiving. Because that is the channel that is available to receive. Giving starts the receiving process. But when something becomes precious to you, you don't want to give it. So what little you have is all you will have. That is why we try and take that opportunity to them, but it's quite funny. I'm the one who should be smirking, right? To be honest, what pity, what a pity. They don't understand the opportunity that they've got. Here's a monk, of course, they don't know the story. He's come all the way, sometimes we walk for several kilometers, looking for homes that need this. Because, we don't necessarily have to go to, palaces, big homes, big large houses, because they know the art of receiving. I often tell this to a, audience in Colombo, because, they're usually, not to stereotype, but, usually well off. It's not too much of a struggle life for them. That's not to say that it's for everyone. So not making any judgments, because sometimes someone could be offended for us thinking that way. But usually they're all right. Okay? So then I often tell them, when I see a big house, when I see a nice luxury house, a nice car, in my mind I go sadhu sadhu. Don't you? I rejoice in that. I like to see people wealthy and rich and affluent with all the means. Because you know what I say sadhu to? The deed that they've done to receive what they have today. Call it mudita, call it whatever you might. But people don't generally do that. Usually people have vice towards them. Usually people have all sorts of stories to tell. Murderers, thieves, must have stolen it from someone. Money launderers, all black money. This is black money. Thugs. That's what people have to say. See, they can't enjoy goodness that has happened to the world. Isn't that goodness? If someone has something, isn't that goodness? You don't need to be like that. If you're our kind of people, if you're our kind of person, if you're sons and daughters of the Buddha and the Buddha Shravakas, we have absolutely nothing. See, he has nothing. He's the one who has nothing. Absolutely, literally nothing. And we are trying to follow in his footsteps. We have nothing. But when we see things, when we see everything, we rejoice in it. That is a rich man's mindset. The poor man's mindset is, they still have nothing. But when they see someone with something, they go, a sigh of disgust. Thieves. Jealous. That is jealousy. Thieves. Must be blood money. Blood money and black money. Must be drug lords. If someone's got a big house, they must be a drug lord. Yeah. If someone's got a nice car, then must be stolen. Either stolen or maybe bribe. Maybe bribe, maybe corrupted. Corrupted people, these people are corrupted. Otherwise, how can they afford something like this? The people's money. That's what they say. The people's money. Poor people's money. Poor people's money. I don't know whether it's poor people's money or rich people's money. I don't know. I frankly don't know, because I'm not from the audit general. I'm not an auditor to go and find out where they got the money to buy it. But what I know is, by hook or by crook, if you've got something, you've gotten it because you've given something. You might have used the wrong means to acquire it this time round, right? But you can't get what you haven't given. You can't get what you haven't given, even if it's temporary. You can't get what you've given. So when they've got something, we look at that and go, I'm not admiring, because I don't know the means that they've gone through to acquire it this time round. But what I do know is, whether it was criminal activity or done something bad or murder, I don't know. But I do know something. They've given to receive something good. They've given to receive something good. I need all of you to be like that, and I'm sure you are. But I want you to be more and more like that. Be someone who can have nothing and rejoice at everything. What a great mindset that is. We can be so small, but our minds can be huge. I'm talking to you about magnificence. This is magnificence. Be magnificent. That's a mindset, it's an attitude. Have nothing. If you see a pretty woman, right? Appreciate it. Right? Women in the house, right? If you still see beauty, right? Now, you don't even necessarily need to see beauty because you know conventionally this is what is beautiful. Right? If you ask the Buddha, Venerable Sir, don't you think that woman is beautiful? The Buddha might say, yes, she is. Because the Buddha has become a Buddha. He doesn't experience beauty, but he knows what beauty is. Just as he knows what tall and short are. He knows what beauty is. He knows what is recognized and identified as beauty. Because that is a convention. He knows that. So, if you've been born with all the right things in the right places, in the right size, in the right quantities, right? That is beauty. So if you see someone like that, whether or not you are beautiful or not, can't you appreciate that? You can't if you haven't seen the Buddha Sásana. If you see you and if you see them, now you can't appreciate that. Because you feel, I should have gotten it, not them. This is avidya. Not avidya, abidya. Pure greed. Sinful. The ability to not rejoice when someone's got something, and then the wishful thinking of, so not just wishful thinking, the thinking that, oh, they shouldn't have it, I should have it. If you got news that someone's won the lottery, ladies and gentlemen, be over the moon about it. Because it's not them or you that should win it. Someone's won it. Getting is what we celebrate, not who. Not who got it. We celebrate getting. We celebrate receiving. We celebrate victory, can't we? When you watch a game of cricket, if you can't celebrate every 6, every 4, every run, and every catch, all in the same game, every run out. If you can't celebrate all of it, you are not enjoying a game of cricket. You can't enjoy a game of cricket. You're enjoying being part of a team. That's what you're enjoying. In fact, you're enjoying separation. We are a separate team to them. So you're not enjoying cricket then. You're not a cricketer. You're a Sri Lankan cricketer. Or you're an Indian cricketer. Or you're a Pakistani cricketer. So therefore, cricketer comes second. Sri Lankan comes first. Shame. What a shame. Learn to enjoy cricket. Swami Nasa gave us permission to go and watch cricket today then. Enjoy a good game of cricket. In a good game of cricket, who should win? Who should win in a good game of cricket? For it to be a good game of cricket, who should win? Which team should score the most runs? See? That's the thing, If as a kid growing up, watching cricket, your parents taught you to enjoy a good game of cricket, you would have learned to enjoy a good game of cricket. But usually what happens is, and what's happened, they sat you down and said, Buddha, those people in blue, they're the Lankans. Those guys in yellow, they're the Australians. Them in green, they're the Pakistanis. Them in the light blue, they're the Indians. And them in the maroon color, they're the Zimbabweans. We don't mingle. May the best team win. See? Let us celebrate separation, is what they said. So when the ball was up in the air, you didn't know whether you had to celebrate or you had to hold your breath to cry. You didn't know. You had to see what would happen when the ball came down. If they caught it, again, depends. Are you on the offensive team or the defensive team? Which one? You have to wait. You don't know. You can't enjoy a ball being up in the air. Whereas if you are not partisan and the ball's up in the air, now you can enjoy every moment of it. If it's up in the air, it could be going for a 6, it could be going for a catch. Matters not. While it's still up in the air, it could be going for a 6. Yay, that's a good 6. Well, look at that. The power, the impetus with which it was hit up into the air. Brilliant. What a brilliant shot. And the ball comes down, and then there's a player down there. He catches the ball. And say, what a great catch. And then they drop the ball. What a great save. What luck. Let's learn to enjoy a game of cricket. I mean, no, this is the foundation to get to Nibbana. You need to learn to enjoy a good game of cricket. If you can learn to enjoy a good game of cricket, you're closer to Nibbana than if you are someone who only enjoys when one team wins. You know, in some places, if their home team loses, they burn down houses. Then the players, they're worried about going back home. See, they don't enjoy cricket. Although some people say, cricket, it runs in our blood. It's not the cricket that runs in their blood. Separation. Being just one team. It's not one game, it's one team. So I want you all to be able to enjoy goodness in this world. Rejoice in it. Celebrate goodness. Be a Suddhamanusa. This is a pure man. A man with a pure heart. They can enjoy goodness. Matters not who it has happened to. Just imagine your sister, right? In the last moments of your parents' life, she bequeathed everything she had to your elder sister. Okay? Given by will. Nothing for you. All to your elder sister. Now you're wondering what happened. What happened there? I was the one who looked after my mother in her last years, but she gave everything to my elder sister. She wasn't even here. And besides, she's the one who's got everything. She's got a nice house. She lives in Canada. She's got a house here. She's got a house there. But my mother decided to give her everything. And then you get news that she also won the lottery. What do people normally say? You know what they say. It is those who get that get everything. Whereas people like us who deserve, we get nothing. We get nothing. God doesn't have mercy on us. This good Lord, the God that we worship, we pray, we make offerings to, they don't even have mercy on us. But look at this sister. She wasn't even there in my mother's final years. I had to look after her. I had to wash her poo-poo and dress her nappy and do everything for her. And now she was there. She came, she took, and she went. I have 2 children. She only has 1. I have to provide more. But I got nothing. Let's call that kattariya. See, now you can't celebrate giving. You can't celebrate. Because you want good things to happen to whom? If good things happen, they have to happen to whom? Me or my people. That's whom good things should happen to. If a bad thing has to happen, who should it happen to? Others and their people. If a good thing has to happen, it should happen to me and my people. Bad things, others and their people. But if you've seen the Sambuddha Sásana, Good things must happen. Bad things mustn't happen. That's it. Not to whom or to who. Then you are a man of the world. You belong to everybody. You belong to the whole world. You belong to the whole world then. You belong to the whole universe. Just imagine if the whole world belonged to you, right? If the whole world belonged to you. Imagine now, they say, back in the colonial times, they came and they took our riches. They came, they took our precious riches, right? And then they took it to wherever they came from, whoever that they is. We have that story to say because we feel that they took it from our land. They took it from my country. This is our heritage, our legacy. These were ours, and they took it, they stole it. Now they have something that belongs to us. Give it back. You say this because you feel you are a citizen of this country. You feel that this is your nation. Maybe if you feel patriotic about this country. But what if you felt patriotic about the whole world? Then what? Then who has taken from whom? If you are a man of the world, okay, and they came and took from here and took it there, what's moved? From where and to where? Nothing. These two hands, they belong to me. They both belong to me. Okay? I have a pen, don't I? Yeah? Now, how about now? Have I lost that pen? Am I poorer than I used to be a moment ago? Am I richer? No. Why is that? Because they both belong to me. But what if I'm a left-handed man? In other words, this is my arm, this is my hand, this isn't mine. Now, if someone took this, I'm poorer. They took what belongs to me. Give it back. Give it back. Now I have to fight. Now we have to battle. We have to battle for victory. See? Give it back. No, this is mine. No, give it back. Tug of war. But if you're a man of the world, now see, if you are either this is your hand, this is your hand, right? If you only belong to one of these, sometimes you might come to a fair deal. Let's do half and half. That's a fair deal, right? 50-50. Let's meet halfway. That is not a fair deal. It might be a fair deal conventionally, but in your mind you're going, I just want to wait until he passes away, or while he looks away. The moment he looks away, I'll just snatch a little bit more. See? Tell me these things don't happen out there all the time. And when this guy's not watching, oh sorry, I didn't see. Sorry, my bad. See how humble, so innocent. And when he leaves, just to go on a holiday, I'll be back for the weekend. No, I'll be back just after the weekend. Just keep an eye out for my property. Yeah, sure. And then when this guy returns, oh, seems smaller than when I left it. No, it's the same thing. I looked after it for you. Never happened? Because they're not a man of the world. So small, their thinking is so small. Petty pleasures. People settle for petty pleasures. People said, oh, petty pleasures. Just to have a little bit more. Can I have a little bit more, please? Just a little bit more. Just a tad bit more. People, how silly. You know, when you make a deal, right? Some people, they'll count it to the last penny. I'm not talking about convention. Conventionally, you have to count to the last penny. Please do so. If someone borrows some money from you and they return it, please count it before they leave. Okay, this is life advice. Now let's get back to Nibbana. Because anya illa bhupanisa, anya Nibbana gami. Right? The path to living a comfortable life in the world is one. The path to Nibbana, which is your internal transformation, your mindset, is another. So conventionally adhere to the norms and customs and standards and whatever you might have. So if someone gives you some money, please count it before they leave. Before you walk out of the shop, check your change. Right? That's just general advice. But coming back to Nibbana, you know, people they'll look for, you know, just a little bit more, because that makes them feel happy. You know, if someone says, I'm gonna give, just think about how the mind works, okay? This is to help you analyze and think about how the mind works. Let's imagine your mother, before she passes away, she's thinking, what should I do with my 10 acres of coconut land? She's got 10 acres that she wants to split between her children. So Akka comes, elder sister. She comes from Canada. Now you're both with your mother, the solicitor's there, and she's going to reveal to you what she's been thinking about over the last few months. You've been prompting her, mother, you probably should do something about the land. You know, we don't want it to go to ruins, and you probably better sort it out before your last days. She said, yeah, I'll do it. Ask your sister to come. So the sisters come, now the three of them sitting around the table, solicitors on one end. Right, so I've decided how I want to split my property. The elder sister, I'm going to give her, so she's got 10, right? Now, the younger sister is expecting what? At least half. Is that right? At least half, yes. So 5, 50-50. But that's not fair either, because she's the one who's got everything. Yeah, she's the one who's got the house in Canada. She's got the house in Sri Lanka, whereas we live in a very small house. And I've got 2 children I have to look after and feed, but she's only got 1. And she's got the means. Her husband is also well connected. He's got a nice job, whereas my husband, his job is going to be plucking those coconuts if we get part of that land. Right? So who's the one who should be getting the bigger portion? You have the answer to this. She has. Now the 2 daughters, let's ignore the elder daughter for a second. The younger daughter already has an answer to this question. In her mind, who should get the bigger portion? If not all of it, she should. So the mother says, I've decided that I want to give you, Chutiduwa, 3 acres. Yeah. I know, right? Can you believe that? Out of 10. Shocking. And the remaining 7, wait. And then I'm going to give 5. Now wait, so we've given 3 to the younger daughter. So now the elder daughter thinks what? 7 to the elder daughter. How do you think she's feeling right now? The younger daughter. How do you think she's feeling right now? You know the word, which I shall not utter. That female dog. She's come here for my mother's money. She didn't even look after her. I did everything for her. And then the mother says, I'm going to give 2 to charity. Oh, that's better then, at least. See what's happening? Now, the elder sister is only going to get 5. So ultimately, the last portion, 5 for the elder sister, 2 to charity, 3 to the younger daughter. Okay? When the mother said 3 for the younger daughter, she was furious. Why? Who was now going to get the bigger portion? The elder sister. How much? 7. Because initially, what had she planned for the elder sister? The younger sister, what did she think she was going to get? 5. She was going to get 5. Yeah, are you following me? Yeah. Wait, let me draw it. Nothing like a good picture of, family feudal wars. This is the younger sister. Now then we have to draw the elder sister taller. Here's coconut trees, still, even at that age. And there's almost. Okay? So, in her mind, she was thinking initially she thought, I think I should get all 10. Why? I am the one who looked after my mother. Sisters? So you better listen to this Buddha, okay? Important lessons for life. Right, so I should be getting the 10 because I am the one who looked after. She lives in Canada, she's got everything, she's got a house there, house here, husband is well connected, very prosperous, they have everything going for them, right? So she should ideally be getting nothing. But I'm a reasonable person. Who's a reasonable person? Always who's a reasonable person? I am the reasonable person. I'm the Holy Grail. I'm holy as holy can get. The Pope should be taking lessons from me. The Dalai Lama should be taking lessons from me. I am the epitome of holiness and kindness and gentleness. That's me. Can you see the halo above my head? Let's put one here. Right? So this is the ideal deal, but it's all right. I'm good. So I think mommy's going to go 5 and 5. I think mommy's going to go 5 and 5 because, she's like that. So now, in her mind, how much of the land has she already given up? Not given up. Given to? To the elder sister? 5. So she's already made that commitment in her mind, right? So surely she should be prepared for that. Then the mother says, Churidu, you're only going to get 3 out of 7, out of 10, yes. You're only going to get 3. Now she's furious. She's annoyed. She's pretty annoyed because she thinks now the elder sister is going to get 7. Not what she was expecting. Completely the opposite of what she was expecting. She was fine to settle for 5. She was all right. She'd made her mind up. She was fine to settle for 5. But now it's looking like she's getting the short straw. Right? And the elder sister is going to get the better deal. So the mother says, so you're going to get 3 and I'm going to give 2 to charity. I'm going to give 2 to charity. So now, see, at this point, she didn't know what to expect. Right? She would have been very happy to hear this. Sorry, very happy. How do you draw very happy? Is it that way? That looks weird. Very happy to receive that. She was okay about this. At this point, she doesn't know about this yet. How's she feeling? She's feeling terrible about this. Why? I'm going to get 3 and she's going to get 7. She's going to get 7. And then the mother says, and I'm going to give 2 to charity. What is the expression I should draw on this? What is the expression I should draw on this? She feels happy again. She feels happy again. You know why she feels happy again? Because she's going to get less. She's going to get less than what she thought she was going to get initially. In fact, she's back to what she thought they were going to have previously. Right? At this point she thought, I'm going to get 5, she's going to get 5, which is what she's going to get now. Which is what she's going to get now. But now the mother has said, I'm not going to give all 7 of it to the elder sister, I'm going to give half of that to the charity. Now she's happy about the fact that she's going to get, her competitor is going to get less than what she thought she was going to get. See? Never heard of these things? Not yet? And hopefully you never will. But these things happen all the time. Happen all the time. Why do you think she's happy at this time? See, nothing's changed from this to this. She's still got only the 3. But she can't rejoice in goodness. She can't rejoice in receiving. She can't rejoice in giving. Because if good things happen, it should happen to me and to my people. Right now, she's not feeling very her people about her sister. In fact, now she feels that her sister is her competitor, her rival. That is how she feels right now. Sometimes this might actually split the whole family up. You know what's going to split the family? Her expectation that she was going to get 5, right? And then she's going to end up getting 3, and the elder sister is going to get 5. She might even wonder, why the 2 to charity? Give it to me. What has charity done for you? You're talking about the temple, the Swami is in the temple, right? Those buggers you've been feeding all your life? How many alms have you given them? How many alms givings have you done? Right? Every month you would go taking alms to them. Right? The first portion of whatever you had, you would go and offer to them. What did you get in return? What dhamma did you get in return? Nothing. I am the one who was here looking after you. I fed you. I cooked for you. I dressed your wounds. I looked after you. I did everything for you. I ran your errands. I did everything for you. And what did the monk do for you? Nothing. He just took everything you had, and now he's also going to take what I deserve. So now she's going to begin to hate what her mother used to love. What is that? The Sambuddha Sásana. What has the Sambuddha Sásana, what wrong has the Sambuddha Sásana done to her? Nothing. But she's going to now have a grudge. See? She's now going to have a grudge because the monks are going to get something that belongs to her. The Sasana is going to get something that belongs to her. That is how she feels. Because in her world, things belong. There are my things and there are their things, right? And if good things happen, they have to happen to me and my people. If the mother had said, this too I'm going to give to your dependents, your offspring, that she would should have been okay with. My mother cares about me and my children and my family. But if the mother says, I'm going to give this to my grandchildren, she's going to ask whose? Because that grandchildren could be the elder sisters, it could be the younger sisters. But to the grandmother, which is her, they're both the same, grandchildren. Whose grandchildren are more grandchildren-ish to the mother? No, they're both grandchildren, equal. But to them, there's a separation. These are the origins, beginnings of family feuds. Just think about it. You will have experienced some of this in your lives. Because they've not seen the Sambuddha Sásana. The mother has seen the Sambuddha Sásana. That is why throughout her living life, she was very charitable. She wanted to invest. She wanted to invest in the Sásana. She might have even taken the daughters with her when she went to the temple. That is how she knows that everything she had, she offered to the Sásana. Because she knows what you reap is what you sow. Because she knows in the Sásana you go to give up, not to give to. See, when you give up something, think about this and answer this question. Really think about this, okay? When you give something up, who should use it? Yes, anyone, absolutely. Think a little bit more. I'll give you a moment to think. I'll give you some hints. Let's say we have a bottle of water here, okay? We are all thirsty. We are all thirsty. More or less, we are all thirsty. Some are more thirsty than others, right? And so we bring a bottle of water. If I said, ladies and gentlemen, I've brought you some water, please come and have it. There's only one cup. There's only one bottle. You'll have to get the water into the cup and drink it. How do you decide amongst yourselves who gets to go first? No, the Swami Nonsense are not here. Ignore that. Most thirsty. So the people who deserve it the most. Yeah? People who deserve it the most. So when you give up something, in your mind, when you give up something, it should be used up by those who deserve it the most. When you give to someone, it is them who should be using it. Because in your mind, it has to be them. You've already separated. Then you do God's work. You've taken God's job into your hands. God decides who deserves most. But when you play God, you decide who gets it. Because when the water's here, God has already decided who needs it, because that is the one who's most thirsty. By God, I mean nature. Yeah? Vipaka. However you want to look at it. The one who is most thirsty is the one who should use it. Now, a fantastic example of this is now in the Sásana. Right? We have an order in which we do things. So even when we go for alms, it's the most senior monk first and so on. You know the drill. There is one exception to this rule. Just one. Just the one exception to this rule. And that is when we are waiting for the washroom. Then it is not in line of seniority. It's who needs it the most. So if ever we are there and there's only one washroom, we ask ourselves, Aishmatan, would you? Do you want to? Are you in a greater need? Right? So that is how we do that. But everything else, there's an order. Most senior to most junior. So if there's a bottle of water here and you have to decide who goes first, you'll have to ask the question, who is most thirsty? That is who God has picked to have the water first. How has God picked them? By making them thirsty. That's how. Because they have the greatest need. So therefore they are the most deserving. Now then, why do I say that the mother invested, gave up her whatever she had to charity? Because when she gave up where it was most deserved. I'm going to explain to you why I say so. And this goes against the notions that most people have, that if something is given, it should be given to the poor. Perhaps if you build a house, it should be made for the homeless. So that's why people say, why give to the monks? They have it. You should be giving to the poor people. They don't have. Give it to those who don't have, not to those who already have. I'm going to show you the flaw in that thinking. This is flawed thinking. If you give something, and then, by the way, please listen and absorb all this very intelligently. Okay? I'm not saying don't give to the poor or anything of that sort. Yes? Can I trust you? Please don't take this the wrong way. Because if you take it the wrong way, it's only because you've not understood me. There's a caveat. Okay, if this seems so unreasonable and unfair, it's because you haven't understood what I wanted to say. If you give to a poor person, in his mind, you've given him something to preserve himself. And I don't mean self in that sense, just in a very normal way, just in a very conventional way. You've given him something to protect and preserve himself, him and his family. Because in his mind, good things should happen to whom? Him and his people. Him and his people. You understand this, though? Absolutely. Him and his people. Now imagine if you gave something. So this is the poor man. You gave something to a poor man. He's a poor man. Whatever you give him, he's going to use it to provide for him and his family. Let's say there's the village leader. Okay? He's the village leader. In his village, there are lots of poor people. Okay? Now who is he going to give to? Him and his people. Yeah? Him and his people. Or rather, his people, if you like. So who is his people? All of them. I'm trying to prove a point to you. We're going one step at a time. So if you gave to this man, he gives to his people. His people are the people he has at home. Okay? If you give to this man, he gives to his people. His people are the people who live in his village. Let's go again one step up. This is the province. And there are multiple villages and village leaders. So lots of poor people in lots of villages and lots of village leaders. Okay? Now you give to the leader of the province. Who does he give to? His people. His as in not empty, not that his. His people, all of them. Okay? Now let's go meet the king. We've gone to the king. Your Majesty, I've got something to give you. Who does he give to? His people. Because in his kingdom, there are lots of provincial leaders, there are lots of village leaders, clan leaders, right? And there are lots of poor people. So he gives to all of his people. Now, what if you go to a man of the world? To someone who believes that all mankind are his people. Every man, woman, and child are his people. Now who does he give to? His people. His people. He gives to his people. And his people are not just men, women, and children. They're not just humans. Divine beings in 10,000 world systems. They're all his people. So whatever you give him or his ministry, he uses it in the service of his people. That is why it is more worthy. It is more worthy that when you give something, you think about what is their scope of goodness. Have I not presented to you a logical argument? Yeah? Am I saying that it is because I'm a monk I'm giving you this argument? No, it's not. You don't have to be a monk for that. Was it not a good thing to give Mother Teresa? Yes, because she had a lot of people. She had a lot of people. But if you had given to maybe, if you had a lot and you gave it to just maybe one of the people who's under the protection of Mother Teresa, they would take it and they would go and give it to their people. Maybe that's just a small family. And you see, just think about it. When you get something and you use it in the service of your people, whatever is left over, what do? Normally, I don't mean you now that you've got an improved thinking. What do you normally do? You save it. You save it for whom? For your people when they need it later. But next door, there are people starving. Yeah, next door there are people starving. In the neighboring village, there are people starving. But if you give to the village leader, if you give something to the village leader, he will spread it between his people and then he will save them in his coffers for when they need it later. But if you give to the king, he will save it in his treasury, in his coffers, for when anyone in his kingdom might need it, because to him, they're all his children. Now once again, think about, if you give something to someone who believes that the whole world belongs to them, think of a Sakkviti Raja, who is the ruler of the entire world, an emperor, a wheel-turning monarch. Right? If you would give to them, to whom every citizen is a global citizen, so they don't see Indian citizens and Sri Lankan citizens and Bengali citizens and Australian or Canadian citizens. They just see global citizens. Then what about the Saktadeva, who is the King Almighty to 33 world systems, of which the 4 worlds are just, one small part. Superstition, maybe fiction, maybe just ignore that part. Just think about the concept here, because I know some will not be able to comprehend that extent of it. But an Arahant is someone to whom an Arahant is someone who feels that the whole world, they're a man of the world. The whole world belongs to them and they belong to the whole world. They are a universal being. They belong to the whole universe. So an Arahant doesn't belong to his mother or his father. He doesn't belong to who used to be his wife. Doesn't belong to his brother or his sister. An Arahant belongs to the whole world. So when you give to an Arahant, he uses it in the service of whom? His people. That is why when you give, it makes sense. I can't advise you. I can perhaps only, because it would, some might interpret it in the wrong way. That's why I'm a bit hesitant, because it's not just you who watch this. There are people who will be watching it online, right? Because one might feel, if they take this in a very narrow-minded way, so Swamin Wahanse is saying, this is why we don't come to the Buddha Sásana. See, yet again. He's saying, give, and give. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want to serve mankind, when you give for charity, like say if you're interested in treatment for cancer, right, you might give something you have to the Cancer Trust. Yeah. You do so because you don't have the means to go and do the cancer research. You're not a chemist, you're not a researcher. You're not a doctor, you're not someone who has the means and the resources and the knowledge to do it. So you give it to someone who can do it on your behalf. Yeah? And they use what you've given them in the service of the people who you have an interest in serving. But they do it on your behalf. If say you want better facilities, treatment for patients with Alzheimer's, right? Perhaps there's an organization that would do that. Maybe you want to do better for people with heart diseases. There'll be an organization that to whom you can go and make a donation. In Britain, it's called the British Heart Foundation. You can go and you can make a donation. So then you don't have to go researching about hearts and how they work and how you can save them. They do it on their behalf, on your behalf. Because you don't have the scope, but you have the will. Now, in the same way, if there are people out there, wherever they might be, men, women, whoever, who are interested in serving all of mankind, as if they're all one. As if they're all one. Now, if you want to serve mankind, you can either go do it yourself, or you can support them to do it. Yet again, I remind you, this is not an appeal. So please don't be narrow-minded. I haven't simply manipulated you to think anything. That's not the game here. I'm trying to explain to you a profound concept of why it matters where you give. So in other words, really, this is not giving to, this is giving up. Remember I told you about the bottle? When you give up, it matters not who comes and drinks it. If you brought it for those who are thirsty, it doesn't matter whether it's your son or your daughter who gets to have the first go. It's whoever's most thirsty. Right? But when you're giving to, it has to be someone who belongs to you or your people. Okay, then an arahant gives up. Now, this is a very subtle point. A very subtle point. So if you don't get it, just let it go. When an arahant gives up, it doesn't matter to him whether it is used for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, because he doesn't have an expectation in the giving up. In other words, he's completely given up. That is how he has become the arahant. Whereas, a good person, let's say, a generally good person might give up and they'll expect it to be used in the right way. Have you never found yourself giving to, say, a beggar on the street, and then you walk past him, but you turn around and see what he's doing with it? You might have caught yourself doing this on some occasions. You give maybe a lunch, you give to the poor man by the street, you walk past, round the corner, and you come back. And you watch him from around the corner. What's he doing with it? Is he going to take it to the shop to sell it for some money so he can feed his gambling habits? Now you start to wonder. See, in that moment, ladies and gentlemen, you've given up the opportunity to engage in merits, because now you do it with suspicion. Where the mind is suspicious, the mind is no longer graceful. It's no longer graceful. Grace is out. Because now you're looking at it with suspicion. That is it is not a virtuous feeling, this feeling of suspicion. If you give something to someone and you feel, might they use it for the right reason? Might they use it for the wrong reason? You might even feel your stomach roil. You don't feel happy. You don't feel comfortable about it. You can't rejoice in it. So an arahant is someone who's given up with absolutely no expectation. If you use it for because nothing belongs to him. That's the thing. The whole deal here is not giving everything you have until to the point where you have nothing else to give. That's not the deal here. That's not the intention here. It's realizing, not giving really, it's realizing that nothing belongs to you in the first place to give. So really what you're giving up is this sense of ownership, not the object. You give to an object, you give an object to someone. You give up the sense of ownership. Then there's no object concerned. Does that make sense to everyone? There's no object concern when we're talking about giving up. What you're giving up is a sense of ownership. If it doesn't belong to you, then what matters? Who's going to use it? How it's going to be used? Who's going to take it? Whether they're going to eat it? Whether they're going to leave it? Who cares? So, I'm sharing these things with you, ladies and gentlemen, because, I know you're all charitable. I know you are. How do I know so? Well, you've given up your Saturday morning, haven't you? Isn't that charity itself? Just the fact that you're happy to give up your Saturday morning, you're happy to give up your Saturday afternoon, a whole day. Some of you then even on another poe day falls in the week, you're happy to give that up as well. You know that ultimately, if you walk down this path, you're going to this sense of self is going to disappear from you. Yeah? And when that happens, you know that you are completely going to belong to the whole world, to the whole universe. So with that ultimatum in mind, with that destination in mind, whatever you do right now, you are giving up, are you not? Do you understand the logic here? Yes, you might say, Swaminathan, I'm here to attain Nibbana. I'm here to attain my Nibbana. Fair enough. But you know that once you attain Nibbana, it's no longer yours. In other words, you and everything about you belongs to the whole world. So if that is the destination, this is the journey you're on, whether you like it or not, you're giving yourself up. You're giving yourself up. In giving yourself up, you're giving everything to everyone else. See, if once you become an arahant, right, as you progress on this journey, you don't even need to go that far. Right? When you start progressing on this journey, there'll be things in life, ladies and gentlemen, where things that you thought were really part and parcel of your life, things that you couldn't depart from, people could just come and take it away from you, and you'll be like, oh, you forgot the plug. You'll come to that point. I promise you. Here's the box that came with it. No, they didn't have a pre-arranged appointment to come and take it from you. You just realized someone's come and walking away with something that belongs to you. Conventionally belongs to you. Again, don't get this wrong. I'm not saying if someone comes to your house and starts walking about with things, you have to call them and say, here's the box. That is not what I'm saying. I'm talking about your mindset. Okay, so you better ring the police if that happens. I'm talking about the freedom of mind that you can experience. Now in the sasana, okay, this is my pen, right? At least conventionally it's my pen. If you walked up here, took this pen and said, Swaminathan, from here on it's my pen, I don't have the right to claim it back from you. That is how pure the sasana is. If you took this from me, when I tell you this is mine, if you took it from me, I don't have the right to claim it back from you. I can't say, no, give it back. Because if I do that, I'm committing a cardinal sin, a parajika offense. Because once you think this is yours, I can't take it back. I can ask for it. Sir, I think you're mistaken. I think this pen belongs to the monastery. Could you kindly have a check whether this is the pen that you brought with you? No, this is my pen. If you say so. Now you might wonder then, what if someone comes and claims that this monastery belongs to them? Then where will we go and listen to the Dhamma? Where are we going to go come and do a meditation? What's going to happen to the Dhamma hall? Yes, that's why it all belongs to the Punya Bhara. See? It doesn't belong to us. Nothing belongs to us. It all belongs to the trust. In the trust, there are no higher ordained monks. It's all run by lay devotees. So they can go and claim whatever belongs to the sasana. Nothing belongs to us. The Swaminathan are always safe. All cleverly planned out. Guru Handra is at the helm of the ship, right? Yes, so he's a mastermind. Genius. So we don't have to, we are never in any fear. If someone comes and says, take this, I want this, I say, talk to Harsha Mahanta. Nothing belongs to us. So anyhow, the point is, what we give up is our sense of ownership. And for that to be able to be done, to be able to do that, we work on ourselves. Because this sense of ownership is purely based on a sense of self. Without the sense of self, without I, how can there be things that belong to me? If there's no me, then how can there be things that belong to me? So when there is no me, then I belong to the greater universe. I belong to the bigger picture. I'm part of the bigger thing, not a separate entity. So I appeal to you, I urge you Whenever you see goodness happen in the world, rejoice in it. Get into a habit of doing that. Now, when we go out on Sunday mornings, we driven past, some of the really well-built parts of the town in the cities, and there are, rising towers and some houses, the size of palaces, palatial magnitude. Those buildings, I look at them and some really grand, luxurious cars in them. I'm honestly happy to see all that. Now, sometimes, some people think, sometimes when people listen to sermons, right, from monks, nuns, whoever, like Buddha Putras, right, when they start talking about the suffering that comes with ownership, some people even think that they're doing so because, out of spite. Like I'll say, why do you own that big car? How much suffering there is. This big house that you have, 3 stories, 20 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, look at all the effort that you have to go through and put yourself through. Like, why do you have to suffer so much? Right? Think about all the suffering that comes from it. Some people think, it's like the grape that cried sour grapes. They're like the fox. Like the fox that looked at the grapes and said, no, can't reach it, it's sour. Some people think that when we talk about things like that we say so out of spite, out of vengeance. What we can't have, we speak in spite. That is not so. That is not true. What I rejoice in is not the size of the house, because actually I do have pity for the gentleman who has to look after it. I do have pity for the lady of the house who has to walk around the house and sweep it and clean it and remove the cobwebs and all that. I do have pity. But what I do enjoy and rejoice in are the merits that they would have done to receive something like that. That you can't deny. Can you? You can't deny that. So let's have that mindset. When you see anything good in this world, right, don't think about to whom the good has come, because that is ayoniso manasikara, wrong mindset. It only happens when we are in ignorance. Come back to wisdom, and then you just see the goodness that has happened. Good has been given, therefore good has been received. If someone says, hey, I got a chance to go abroad, right? Yes, you can have sympathy, or rather, I suppose, sympathy towards them and say, you're going somewhere for material gains, perhaps wouldn't you consider maybe coming along with us, spending a week at the monastery, maybe, you might actually learn something, that there's something more you can achieve from life. You might interest them in something like that. But if they're not ready to listen to you and they want to go, be happy for them. Rejoice. I mean, it's an opportunity for you to rejoice. Learn some merits out of it. But that's not why you do it. Not just because you get some merits out of it, but you're really gracefully happy about it. You're happy about it. You're happy about goodness that happens, not to anybody. You're just happy about goodness. So if your enemy, or who used to be an enemy at school, maybe someone who you really didn't like at school, they've had a windfall, right? Be happy about it. Rejoice in it. Be glad for them. Be glad for any good that happens. If someone discovers something, say you're working out a problem, as children here, when you're at school, right? You've got a math problem, so does your classmate, you're both working out, and they work out the solution to it before you do. What should you do? Feel jealous? Then rejoice. Be happy. It's difficult to do if what you see are individuals. I didn't get the answer, she got it. When you start seeing the world in this way, it's very difficult to be happy about it. Very difficult to be altruistic. It's very difficult. You get stuck. You can only go, you can only go as far as your limit is going to be the remit of what you have. If someone's got something that you don't have, at that point, you break down. But people can have as much as you have, maybe just a little bit less than that, and you're happy. This is a vile mind. Identify them. If you have even the slightest tinge of it in your mind somewhere, lurking in some deep dark corner, identify it and work at it. Get it out. It's like a poison. It'll sting you forever. And if I've got this much, for as long as what you're going to get is only this much, I'm all right with that. It's fine. You can have it. It's fine, because I still have more than you. Yeah? But the moment you seem to have a little bit more than me, now we have a problem. So you don't feel like this about your subordinates. Maybe at the workplace, right? You talk to them, you're happy that they get a promotion all the way until they come to your point. And then if it seems like they're going to surpass you, at that point, you can't rejoice in that. If you have this mindset, the mindset of entities, I and they. If good happens, it has to happen to me and my people. If bad happens, it can happen to somebody else and their people, I don't mind. But good should only happen to me and my people. When me and my people exist, you will always suffer. You won't be able to rejoice in the goodness. And because you can't rejoice in goodness, goodness never comes to you. Good things come to those who rejoice in it. Simple fact of life. Good things come to those who rejoice in it. So whenever you see good, rejoice in it. If you want it, rejoice in it. Because when you rejoice in it, you absorb it. That's what happens. Your mind absorbs it. Your mind embraces it. When you rejoice in something, your mind embraces it. It gives it a warm, nice warm cuddle. Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. It's very nice. How nice. So now it has become part of you. And then like attracts like. So when your mind starts to resonate, at that so-called frequency, there are no frequencies. I'm just saying, this is just an analogy, right? When your mind starts to resonate at the same goodness, right? And now that kind of goodness starts to attract you. Just think about this. When you've done something really nice and you go and talk to someone and say, hey, Machan, I did something like this and it really worked out in my favor, right? And it really worked out, got the deal, got a bonus. It was a really good investment. And if they're really happy, can't you tell? If they're really happy about it and they smile and they give you a pat on the back and go, wow, fantastic, man. How did you manage to do that? Right? Next time something happens, who do you want to go and share it? The same person. See, now they ask you, how did you do it? So are you hesitant to share with them if they rejoice in what you've done? No, you tell them everything. You tell them how you did it, how you went about it. You tell them all the secrets because they're happy for you. But if someone says, oh, really? Oh, well, for people like you, it should always work out, shouldn't it? Thieves. Or if they're not happy about it, not as much as you expect. You've achieved something big, something huge, and you go and tell them, I managed to do this, and then they go, oh, really? Okay. What else? Do you feel like sharing with them how you achieved it? Do you feel like sharing with them how you overcame the obstacles and how you faced the challenges? Do you feel like sharing with them? Absolutely not. So when they come across those obstacles, when they have those challenges, if at some point they also want to achieve the same ideals, they've missed a lesson. They've missed an opportunity to learn it from you. You were willing to share it with them for free. Now they've got to make the mistakes and learn it. But because they were able to, the previous people, because they were able to resonate, they were able to rejoice in what you had to say, you gave them the lessons for free. And then they might even ask you, hey, I'm really happy for you. I also want to try and do something like that. Do you mind helping me? What might you say? Absolutely, man. Come on, let's work on this together. 2 heads are better than 1. Let's work on this together, and let's double this. Let's triple this. Let's work together and, achieve bigger, better. So you see, if you can't rejoice in someone's good, so because it's not someone's good, if you can't rejoice in goodness, you're always going to have to earn things the hard way in life. Life is not going to be kind to you because you're not kind to life. So life is not going to be kind to you. If you're not kind to the goodness, then goodness is not going to be kind to you. You got to give before you get. There's no other way. When God does His good work, you should be able to look upon that and go, wow, look at that. Incredible. Just look at that. How much good has happened? And then that good will soon come to you. But when you see good happen and you go, just to them, not to us. Never to us. Always to them. Trust me, it will never come to you. It will always be like that. It will always be like that. So you can keep on saying that story. Because you know what you like? Saying that story. Because you always like to bicker about it, you can always keep on saying that. The moaners can always keep on moaning. The complainers can keep on complaining. The whingers can keep on whinging. But if you learn to celebrate, regardless of who the good has come to, if you learn to celebrate, then you can be part of that celebration. And very soon you will be invited to the party. Trust me, you will. When you see a Swami Nuhanse, a monk, a nun, an anagarika, right? Rejoice in that. Don't ever don't ever be left feeling, they could do it, we can't. Because they're young, we are old. Because we have children, they don't. Because they live nearby, we live far. Because they're in Sri Lanka, we're in Canada. Don't ever be like that. Then you will always be like that. Rejoice. When you see a young man, youthful, right? Rejoice in that. Even if you're old and weak and feeble now, rejoice in that. Be happy. Not be happy for them, just be happy. I'm not talking about being happy for them, I'm saying about being happy. When your child comes home and says, Amma, I got my results for the exam, I didn't get the marks I expected, but my friend Yasit, he got really, really good results. Oh, great. But aren't you happy? Aren't you happy for him? How great. Yeah, he was not very good at class, but I think he's been working really hard, and now he's managed to overcome some of those problems that he had, and he had problems at home, but now he's performing really well in school. Wow, isn't that great? Just the fact that has been done. Rejoice in that. By the way, let's wrap up a gift. I want you to go and give it to him when you get back to school tomorrow. Come on. What a mother that is. Huh? If you as a mother can give your child a gift to go and give to the guy who came first in class, that's a mother to every child, isn't it? And what does your child learn in doing that? That goodness has to be celebrated. Doesn't matter who it comes to. Very soon they'll be invited to the party. But what do people generally do? Oh, so he came first in class. He must be teacher's favorite then. He must be teacher's pet. Go find out what he does with the teacher. Next time when teacher comes to the class, you go put the bottle. You go give her the chalk. You go and worship her first. Yak. Yak, 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 and yak. You're never going to be invited to the party. That is how people typically are, because they don't have that great mindset. They can't think beyond, their petty pleasures. Petty pleasures. Don't settle for petty pleasures. Because you're more than that. You're more than that. You're all more than that. He's more than that. If we are all walking his path, the path that he laid down for us, if this is the symbol that we aspire to, if his virtue is the insignia that we want to wear on our crowns, then let's aspire to be like him. He was happy for all because he was a man of the world. He belonged to everyone and everyone belonged to him. He didn't come into this world for the Buddhists. No. In fact, who did he preach his first sermon to? Buddhists? Huh? Who are Kondanya Vapabadhi Mahanama Nasaji? Buddhists? No. So the Buddha didn't preach sermons to the Buddhists. In fact, most of the sermons he preached to non-Buddhists, especially the first part of his life. He went from town to town, village to village, on foot, preaching to whom? Buddhists? Non-Buddhists. Because he was not in the business of making Buddhists out of non-Buddhists. He didn't see Buddhists and non-Buddhists. He saw minds that suffer and minds that can be freed from suffering. And he taught them how to. That's all he did. Because he was a man of the world, he came here for all of us. Just as much as Jesus did not come into this world for the Christians, and the Prophet did not come here for the Muslims, they came here for all of us. Because they were people of the world. They could embrace and encapsulate and capture every living soul in this world in their heart. I'm certain Jesus could look at a Christian and a non-Christian. He could look at Judas, and he could look at his most faithful apostle and feel the same way about him, both. I'm certain of that. Because they were men of the world. They did not segregate. They united. In fact, thanks to people like Jesus and so on, today there are at least people who say, we are all Christians. At least in that way they're united. At least in that way they're united. Yes, there are those then who use that to divide, but at least in that way they're united. Because we all have the same leader, spiritual leader. But the truth is, from time to time they all come and say, we're all one. Because they talk about the truths that unite us all, the truths that are universal for everyone. They teach to the extent that they have understood, to the extent to which they have been able to realize the truths, to that extent they teach. I can only share with you how much, as far as I have understood. So I'm never going to be able to teach to you as the Buddha did, or the great elder Sariputta did. Never going to be able to do that, because my intelligence, my wisdom does not extend that far, and it never will. But you don't need to go that far. If the Christians did the things that Jesus asked them to do, this world would be a much better place than it is today. If the Muslims did what the holy prophets asked them to do, advised them to do, then the world would be a much better place. Just as much as if all the Buddhists did what the Buddha asked them to do, advised them to do, this world would be a much better place. But that's not what people are doing. That's the problem. So, I want you all to be able to rejoice. Rejoice in goodness. Right? See a young person, rejoice in youth. See how much youth they have, and with that youth, what all they can do, what goodness they can do. Rejoice in that. Because if you might have a backache, you're probably old now. You might your knees are starting to give. Right? Perhaps you struggle to get yourself up in the morning because you're old. Look at someone who's still youthful and go, wow, sadhu. At least they don't have to suffer the same as I do. When you're hungry, look at someone who's had a full meal. They've had such a full meal, they start burping. When they say burp, you go sadhu sadhu. They've had a hearty meal. They're delighted with their meal. Rejoice in that. Be deserving of an invitation to the party. When someone when someone gets out of a car and you get out of your bike, rejoice. If you see someone getting off a car, you have to take the bus, rejoice. Rejoice. Be happy. Not for them, just be happy for goodness. If you want to just be a good man, then be happy for good happening to good people. I'm talking about something way beyond that. I'm talking about transcending that. I'm talking about a dimension-less world where there are no men, women, and children. What there is goodness. Not goodness to whom, just goodness. Just goodness. Even if there comes a day where we starve because there's nothing to eat, but we get news that there's a monastery or a temple or a church or a mosque or a kovil somewhere on the far end of the country, on the land, right? And they've got everything. If we hear that you've all left us, if we get to learn that all our devotees, they've left us and then now they've gone elsewhere, right? And they're providing for the monks and the nuns and the upasakas and upasikas and wherever else. You know what we do? We say, sadhu, sadhu. Wholeheartedly. Because what matters is good is happening. Who cares to whom? Because there's no whom to care about. Wholeheartedly we rejoice in that. So do good. Don't worry about who makes use of it, who takes it, who leaves it, who uses it. That's not your concern. If you see a who, kill them. What should you do when you see the Buddha? Kill him. Kill him. And do good. If you are not fortunate enough to be with your sick mother, right, and your brother is looking after her, rejoice. Rejoice. To regret is one, to rejoice is another. Don't regret when you can rejoice. Regretting is not a positive emotion. I don't subscribe to regretting. I don't believe regretting is something that people like us are supposed to do. By us, I mean disciples of the Buddha. Regret is not for us. Rejoicing is for us. Do what you can, and then what you cannot do, don't regret. Rejoice in someone else doing it. Be happy that it is done. The good is done. What matters who does it? When you drive past a hospital, perhaps, maybe you're going to see a patient in the hospital, right, in a ward, right? As you walk past the other beds, right, and they're receiving treatment, maybe there are nurses. Just think about it. Typically what people do is they go and say, when did the nurse come to see my father? Nurse, when are you going to come and see my father? We are really sorry, sir. We have, so many patients to look at. Yeah, but what about my father? Who's going to look at my father? Why don't you treat my father? What, do you think they just sat there twiddling their thumbs, doing nothing, looking up at the sky? No, they're treating patients. Can't you rejoice in that? They're treating patients. Patients are being treated. Let's rejoice in that. Tell your father to do the same. If all he did was that, he would feel better. And he'd recover sooner rather than later. Tell him, Tati, see how hard these nurses are working, these doctors are working. Look at all the good work they're doing. Running around, and just, running from bed to bed, feeding them, washing them, giving them their medication. They'll come to us when they can. But let's rejoice in all the good work they're doing. Let's rejoice in that. If you're at the restaurant, right, and the waiter's taking their time to come to you, but you can see them going from table to table, why can't you look at that and rejoice in that? What do people typically do? Waiter! Is that why you're called a waiter? Because I have to wait? How long have we been waiting for our meal? What is this service? I'm paying full price, just as much as they are. How come they get served and we don't? That's why you don't get served. You're answering your own question. You're so blind, you're so dumb. I don't mean you. I mean, if you're in that situation, you're so blind, you're so deaf, you're so dumb, you don't realize you're speaking out loud the answer to your own question. That is why you're not getting served, because you don't deserve service. Service is deserved by those who rejoice in service. So look at the service, rejoice in it. Look at how the waiters are running around, doing the best they can. Running from table to table, carrying 300 plates in their 2 hands. Rejoice in that. And one says tea, the other says milk tea, the other says plain tea. And the other says just a glass of water. I asked for tea, why have you brought me 7-Up? I don't want this. Go back and get me my meal, please. Get me my order. It's too cold. I've got a hair in this, I've got a frog in this. Take it back and bring me what I ordered. We need to learn to rejoice. Don't care who to whom, just rejoice. Teach our children to rejoice. Let them rejoice. Doesn't matter who comes first in class. Be happy. When the first prize gets offered, clap wholeheartedly. Clap it like you mean it. Don't clap for the... have to clap. No. Don't clap like that. Clap wholeheartedly. Applaud. If you can, say clap and say sadhu, 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 sadhu. Rejoice in it. If you're stood in a queue, right, and the last ticket is bought by the person in front of you, you missed it. Rejoice. Just before you leave, don't complain. Say well done to the person in front of you. Wow, you're a lucky man. How fortunate you are. Enjoy the film, sir. And walk away. That's the kind of people we ought to be, because we are sons and daughters of the greatest man that has ever lived. That is how we should be. Rejoice about all the people who has a seat on the bus when you have to stand. Rejoice. And it matters not who goodness has happened to. Because the moment you think about who goodness has happened to, you're not rejoicing in Nibbana. You're blind to Nibbana at that point, because you're asking the wrong question. Who? To whom? Wrong questions. They are invalid. Invalid questions in the case of Nibbana. I'm giving you example after example. If you're driving to the car park, last parking slot, don't press the metal. Don't press on the metal trying to get to the car park before the other guy pulls in. If he drives in, pulls up, say, well done. Well done, mate. Well done. Good day. Just say that. Because he'll be giving you the stare. He knows what's going to come next. When you put your hand up, he's probably thinking you're going to bend the 4 of them now. No, just give a salute. Well done. It's fine. Happy for you. Salute the goodness. Because goodness has happened to this world. Should it happen to you? Must it happen to you and only you and your people? Yes, it has happened to your people. Can't you see? It's happened to your people. If you are a man of the world, it has happened to your people. But if you are a small man, a very small man, a petty man, right, then you can't rejoice in that. Be big in heart. Embrace the whole world. That's how all the saints that have ever come and gone, that is how they achieved, that they attained sainthood. They were a blessing to all mankind. For that, understand the Dhamma. I always say the Dhamma is a path to an end. That end is the end that I just described to you, that I explained to you. That is the end. The end where you are a man of the world, right? The end where you see everyone the same, where every child is as good as your child. Where it matters not who gets the good, as long as the good is gotten. It matters not who gets it. Then you have transcended the temporal issues of who and the whom. You've transcended that. You've gone from the worldly to the out of this world. That's where we need to be. Become universal. That is the end that this Dhamma should take you. When we talk about anicca, dukkha and anatta and paticca-samuppada, right? And how the whole thing hangs together and manifestations, all these big words, bold words, grand words, none of these will matter if that end that we just talked about does not happen within you. Like I said, this is the transformation that has to happen. You are the evidence that the Dhamma works. You ought to be, you have to be, you should be. If the Dhamma is not working for you, you're not working the Dhamma. Did you get that? If the Dhamma is not working for you, you are not working the Dhamma. You're working something else. So start working the Dhamma, and then the Dhamma will start working for you. Right, that's all you get for one meal. Panchanisansa Pinkama. So you all know about the Dakkhineiyó, alms giving that we have at the monastery almost every 2 weeks, one every Poya day, and then one every other Saturday. So I have an announcement to make. The Panchanisansa Pinkama, which is scheduled to be held on Saturday the 19th of August, will be organized by the joint participation of the Arama-based English sermon group, that is you lot, and the Sunday Dhamma talk group, which is them lot. And a separate WhatsApp group has been set up. It's called the Panchanisansa Mahapuja group, and it has been created to share the relevant information with all the participants of these two groups, as well as other groups attending the Arama wishing to participate in this meritorious event. So I think the organizers wanted me to convey the message to you, so I have done. For any of you who, I think most of you all know about this. This is what we do at the monastery, but there will be those listening to us, watching this online. If you don't know what the Panchanisansa Mahapinkama or this alms giving that we do at the monastery, just go on our YouTube channel. I think there are some videos where you can watch what the proceedings are of the day. And you can also join us online every Poya day. There's an online stream. But to get the most out of it, we invite you to come and witness it, take part in it, rejoice in it. Rejoice the goodness that is done. Rejoice in the goodness. Come and see all the great work, all the good work, all the charity that goes on, all the generosity, the kindness, the gentleness, the humbleness, all of that. That is shared, that is in abundance. That starts to overflow. And this whole place, there's a sense of, there's a nice vibe on a Panchanisansa day. It's just such a strong way. You can almost feel it in the air. I don't know about you, but I can feel it in the air. I can almost breathe it. I can smell it. It's just there. So invite all of you to come and engage in it, rejoice in it. You may or may not have the chance to offer something, but you don't have to. Because who should offer to whom? No question. Just rejoice. Come and witness. And especially if you're coming for the first time, then you will be receiving the best treatment that we can give you. Because we always let go, we give up, so that those who deserve can make use of it. Because you're also our people. You don't have to be a Buddhist to come along. We don't know who a Buddhist is, to be honest. I don't know who a Buddhist is now anymore. You don't have to be of a particular religion, race, culture, creed. It doesn't matter what nationality, what language you speak, who cares? Those are the things that people use to divide ourselves. But we are all one. Because we are men and women of the world. So we invite all global citizens. Come and join us. Witness it, embrace it, enjoy it, experience it, and rejoice in it. So that will be taking place And so how does one join this group? Should they speak to someone? There's a group, but how does one join?
No, it's not allowed. We have two separate groups for English. Saturday sermon talk.
Okay.
And the Dhamma talk, we have two WhatsApp groups.
All right.
So we have
You have merged them.
We merge so that then one
Okay.
everybody gets the information.
Okay. Sure. So if someone's listening to this online and they're not a member of this group, what should they do? Contact the monastery? All right. Okay. So the poster maybe we can put it on the YouTube description or whatever. Right. All right. Let's do a merit transfer and bring today's sermon to a close. First and foremost then, let us all take a moment to remind ourselves how incredibly fortunate we are to be in receipt of the Lord Buddha's teaching, and with immense gratitude towards the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, upasakas and upasikas, let us transfer these merits to those who have protected and preserved the sublime teachings of the Buddha in the form of the Tripitaka and passed it down through the generations of the noble lineage, which is today available to us today to study, understand and comprehend the Dhamma. Let us also transfer the merits we have acquired to all members of the Mahasangha present throughout the world, including the chief prelates of all of the chapters who have dedicated their lives to the noble path and have committed themselves towards the betterment of all sentient beings. Let us not forget that amongst them are the monks and nuns resident in your local temples and nunneries who have always been by your side through thick and thin, come rain or shine. Let us take a moment to transfer these merits to our teacher, Guru Swami Nuhanse, as well as all the monks resident at the monastery and the Anagarika and Anagarika communities attached to the monastery. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits and express our gratitude to those who make great efforts to disseminate the teachings of the Buddha, be that by transliterating these talks, sharing them out with others, or inviting others to join them. And may, by the power of these merits, if any of them have been born in the woeful plains, they redeem themselves and be born in the blissful plane. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits that we have acquired to our devotees and friends of the monastery, who for the sake of merits to help them attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, continue to sustain the Mahasangha. This includes everyone from those of you who have contributed to the construction of the monastery, and to those who provide the Mahasangha with shelter, alms, robes and medicines, as well as those who have passed on their know-how and continue to extend their well wishes. May by the power of these merits they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to our mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews, nieces, our grandparents, our elders, our friends and our acquaintances, employers and employees, and to all those who have helped us, supported us, and assisted us in any way, shape or form available and possible to them. By the power of these merits, may they be healed of any physical and mental ailments and overcome any obstacles to their spiritual progress. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to the Devas and Brahmas, spirits and demons, primarily the Sakradeva, as well as all the numerous gods and deities who are committed to protecting and fulfilling the Sambuddha Sásana. May by the power of these merits they prosper in divine power and wisdom. Let us also remind ourselves the good work done by the guardian deities who keep a watchful eye over us. May they also rejoice in the merits that we have acquired today. And may by the power of these merits they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer these merits to our ancestors, our loved ones who have passed away, to all those who have been friends and family to us and acquaintances in this infinitely long journey of samsara. Let us pass on these merits to them. To those who have helped us, supported us, and assisted us in any way, shape or form, may they also rejoice in all these merits. Let us also transfer merits to the members of the armed forces as well as the police force who have sacrificed their lives to protect the peace and harmony of our nation. And may all those who lost their lives in the war, be their friend or foe, rejoice in these merits we have acquired today. Let us transfer merits to those who have lost their lives in natural calamities such as tsunamis and earthquakes, landslides, pandemics, forest fires, blizzards, and various other natural disasters. May by the power of these merits, if any of them have been born in the woeful plains, they free themselves from those planes, be born in the blissful planes. May they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and may they all attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, let us all resolve that may, by the power and blessings of all the merits we have acquired throughout the day, we be able to witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of arahants on this blessed land. And finally, by the power of these merits, may you and I, and everyone who's helped make this program a success, become an arahatan mahanse, an arahatteranin mahanse, in this very life itself, and in the era of the Gautama Supreme Buddha himself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you all. And the members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. Raga ginnen midetnva, Desha ginnen midetnva, Moha ginnen midetnva, Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetnva, Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetnva, Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satnvayo, Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetnva, Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetnva, Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetnva. Raga gini niveva, Dvesha gini niveva, Moha gini niveva, Nivan sapa labeva, Nivan sapa labeva, Nivan sapa labeva. Tunruange suvisi ananta maha guna belen, silu loka silu satyoma, Nibbana paramasukhen sugita taravetva. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.